After you see the stuff you didn't see when you first watched it, if you have, the innuendo in this movie or series, whatever it is shocking, man. Keep in mind it's for kids. You should have seen what their hands were just doing. You gotta rewind. Kissing, 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 all about kissing. And this is for, yeah, very young children, by the way. I mean, it's just kind of, and I'm not talking anything about, I don't know exactly if these minions, what their identity is kind of thing, but it's just a lot of lovey-dovey stuff. And not like anciently romantic either, more like, well, just watch. And this one is, look at this. What's that showing you? I mean, when you boil it down, I mean, how else do you look at this? It really is hiding in plain sight. And it's called informed consent, by the way. They're informing you through movies, media, production, etc. And you're consenting to it by not rejecting it. And they say that Manly P. Hall said, when people can see through signs and symbols, a veil will be lifted, a great veil will be lifted from the eyes of humanity. We're going to talk more about shocking things in movies. Follow for more.
Horus, the falcon sky god who avenges his father, recalls the storm-bearing heirs of Enlil, gods of rulership and warfare. And Thoth, Skyfather, becomes Ra, the shining sun at the highest point. Enlil, the Stormbringer, becomes Set, the chaotic force who rules the desert and the storm. Enki, the wise lord of water, becomes Osiris, drowned, dismembered, yet reborn as lord of life. The myth changes, but the pattern remains. Ancient texts speak of the Shemsu Hor, the followers of Horus, a race of divine kings who ruled before the first dynasties. Some say they came from a lost island swallowed by the sea. Others claim they descended from the stars. The Sumerians would have recognized them as the Anunnaki. In Egypt, the Anunnaki wore new faces. They became gods of death and resurrection, of sun and flood, of the Nile and the sky. But their role remained the same. The givers of kingship, the masters of knowledge, the rulers who stood at the threshold between heaven and earth.
Faked and use this movie as evidence without realizing it's making fun of them. The first moon landing was the most important achievement of the 20th century, and President Nixon knew it absolutely had to be filmed for the world to see. But according to one very not real documentary, Dark Side of the Moon, Nixon feared the conditions of the moon would render any film equipment totally useless. So in case of emergency, he secretly hired Stanley Kubrick to film a fake moon landing in a studio in exchange for some state-of-the-art camera lenses he'd later use for Barry Lyndon. The backup ended up coming in handy because while the real Apollo 11 mission succeeded, the footage they got on the surface of the moon was less inspiring thanks to the antics of Neil Armstrong. The mockumentary mixes fact and fake so seamlessly, it's hard to tell which is which. Real people like Kubrick's widow and even Buzz Aldrin appear as themselves alongside actors playing totally made-up witnesses named after characters in Kubrick films. They sprinkle in historical facts with easily refutable errors, like the date of JFK's famous speech about choosing to go to the moon being a whole year off, and also stating Nixon was once the governor of California, which he was not. And this moon landing cover-up was successful because basically everyone involved died under bizarre circumstances. Like this man who passed away in a mysterious car accident, his body seen here in this photo, surrounded by a group of Santas. Totally normal. But the biggest giveaway of all has to be the blooper reel that ends the movie, which some journalists ended up missing during the first press screening because they had already left the room in a fit of rage. The real joke came later when conspiracy theorists began citing Dark Side of the Moon as proof the moon landing was faked, not realizing they were the punchline. And even more deliberately deceitful, some folks cut the film into misleading clips on YouTube to expose the truth, further confirming the thesis of the movie. So a fake documentary about the real moon landing became became real proof for people who think the moon landing was fake.
¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto, no? ¿Qué es esto? Mikey, ¿qué fue esa camioneta?
Is anything in this picture? Kind of just above the horizon? Up in the sky, just above that sign? Let me circle it for you. Do you see it now? Yeah, there's something up there. And I got a couple different views of that thing, and they're closer. Can you see it better now? I can, and that ain't no airplane. Not to mention, whatever this was up there in the sky, it just floated. It floated around. People stopped on the side of the road to take pictures of that thing. So, with this UFO, which is an unidentified flying object, we have witnesses, we have picture evidence, we have video evidence. So my question to you is, what do you think that could have been? Because me, personally, when I look at this thing, I really don't know. But like I said before, I'm pretty sure that's not an airplane. Okay, Booshkies, I just wanted to share this with you.
I was made in the lab. I was an industry plant.
No.
I'm real as fuck.
There's no such thing as an industry plant, by the way.
What do you mean, no?
Not a real thing.
You want me to violate somebody right now
Go ahead.
and tell you
Who's the industry plant?
what's the kid name that got the song? I'm always in the mood, brand new. Huh? Ian Dion, the other kid. What's his name? Where are they now? When something is organic, it fades out. In 2025, you're doing a 6ix9ine interview. I'm organic. Wherever I go, if I'm not here, I'm in Spanish. If I'm not in Spanish, I'll come back.
I think she was set up to like be his wife.
Right.
And then, hey, if he turncoats, you're up. Because if you look at her, like,
Because she's taking over Turning Point, right?
within 2 weeks,
Right.
you have a grieving wife, and she's on a podcast right away.
That's crazy. Right.
Hey, smiling. Oh yeah, I remember when we had. This got smoked in front of everybody, JFK style, and you're smiling.
Yeah.
So that's weird. That's number one, right? The memorial. Can we all agree that shit looked like fucking, a WWE event? Like,
And
that was
the first
WrestleMania.
thing somebody says to me, are you in a... Immediately those spirits could feed off of me and see it. And I was like, what? Like, do you want to be in... And I said, not for the world. And he says, are you sure? I'm about 19. End up in a party. The lady from the agency says, I want you to go talk to that producer, cozy up to him, and make him feel like a man, you know what I mean? And she tells me, I need you to sleep with him. And I trust her, then I do it. This is the game. I'm in Hollywood. And so I got pimped out through this acting agency, and I slept with men for money. We know now with the Epstein scandals and everything that, yes, these actresses were pimped out. This is real.
And you think that they regularly had these girls doing what that lady asked you to do?
Oh, yeah. I know they did. I was in it to win it. I was like, whatever I need to do to make it, because this is how I'm going to make it in Hollywood. I started doing darker things to try to feel relevant. And all those women falling off those guys in the music videos and in the back of the clubs, most of them are prostitutes.
It becomes almost scary because Netanyahu's been in power for almost 2 decades, and in a sense, it's like this is sort of a modern situation. The war on terror, the Middle East, Netanyahu, the ascendancy of Likud, the neocons. This is like the past 25, 30 years, and it seems to sort of be sunsetting. Like Netanyahu, if this war ends, for better or for worse, he's going to be out, and he will not. Whoever his successor is will not be able to keep the coalition together as well as he did. So maybe their influence diminishes there. The media environment is not centralized anymore, so they don't influence that either. In the last legs of whatever this period can be called, this go for broke moment, what scares me is how desperate they're going to get. And I think that's where maybe it makes sense they killed Charlie Kirk, because
there's some recognition they are that desperate. Like that is a desperate hour for them when they're losing absolutely everybody, isolated, they're not winning the debates, they can't win it with the soft power, censorship, suppression, the rest of it. Do they then resort to total chaos, crisis, these kinds of operations?
Damn shame.
Because it's sort of like the emperor has no clothes. Like you said, in our lifetimes, we've never seen something like this. Can they lose? Will they tolerate losing? What does that actually look like? And I think that's going to be resolved in the next, 6 months. So it's going to be kind of freaky.
Yeah, it's like the example I use is that they say, when a woman in an abusive relationship tries to leave the husband, that's the most dangerous time. That's when he might kill you, is when you try to leave. Even though it's the right thing to do, it's like that is the most dangerous time. And so you do, I think something we should all be kind of aware of is, how do you manage that situation exactly? And you always kind of want to, even in these really awful situations, you want to kind of leave the door open in a way. You have to find a way for Netanyahu to be able to declare victory or whatever and say, save face to stop kind of doing what he's doing. But it is, look, it's like you said, there's just no. I remember thinking this when they were really trying to cancel Rogan during the COVID stuff. Because he was heroically telling the truth about it. And I remember even thinking, you're like, so let's say this works. You get Joe, what do you think? All his listeners are going back to Don Lemon? Whether they take you out, they take me out, whatever. Do you think all the people we talk to, or what's their next step? It's not like they're going back into the Matrix or whatever.
Hey, what's up, man? What's good, y'all? That's all I got.
But when read alongside the stories of Sumer and Egypt, the parallels are too close to ignore. The Rig Veda describes the storm god Indra, possessor of the thunderbolt, who battles serpents and demons with a weapon called the Vajra. Much like the Mesopotamian Enlil, a punishing storm god, and the Greek Zeus, hurling thunderbolts from the sky. The power of the heavens was a weapon, devastating and precise, remembered in each tradition under a different name. Shiva, the destroyer and creator. His wrath, but also his role as renewer, sounds much like Enki, who could both preserve life and unleash the waters upon the Mahabharata. The gods grant mankind celestial weapons called Astra, capable of leveling entire armies. A memory, perhaps, of technologies once wielded by the same beings the Sumerians called the Anu.
Which is usually coined as the father of public relations or the father of propaganda. And he was a part of the CPI, this Committee on Public Information. But the chairman was a guy named George Creel, and this guy was a political operative. But this whole thing started in 1917 because Woodrow Wilson wanted to convince the people that World War I was justified. Because think about it, what's going on right now? So Israel and Hamas are going to war. Of course, America is going to postulate that they should be involved. It's an ally issue. So they need to convince you, the public, you should help us. You should support us. You should support Israel. You should give them money. You should give us money. You should allow us to get another $20 billion. But I know you're tired of giving money to Ukraine. So why don't you give us $20 billion so we can help Israel? So give us more money. Because nobody wants to give more money to Ukraine. They're tired of that. They don't want to hear that. But they still need this money. This is what we call the military-industrial complex. We still need this money. And you know what's crazy? They're so good at this. So you get like a really dramatic music. It's like... And then they all of a sudden have these pictures of these Black Hawks flying through the air. It's like... And then you see this massive aircraft carrier with like 12 boats next to it. And they're all just like... And then you see like an eagle flying across. And then you see these military people jumping out of the Black Hawks like... And everybody's like, yeah, we're going to show you what the red, white, blue is all about.
With the selection process. What is the NFL draft? What is the combine?
What is that? Baby, there's nothing in here. There's nothing in here. Okay, I don't see it.
So where did these Anunnaki gods come from? Anthropologists tell us that religion began as a way to explain the unexplainable. Early humans, confronted with storms, floods, death, and the stars, gave these forces names and personalities. Gods, they say, were born out of fear, ritual, and imagination, tools for survival in a dangerous world. From this perspective, the Anunnaki were nothing more than symbols, mythic projections of human needs. But here's the problem. The Sumerians didn't tell us about theoretical ideas that they had just bouncing around in their heads. They wrote about beings, flesh and blood, rulers who descended from the heavens above them, who built cities, apportioned the land, and decreed the laws of civilization. These texts describe a time before the flood, when kingship was first lowered from heaven, and when gods walked among men. Then came catastrophe, the great deluge that reset the world. Afterward, only fragments of memory remained. This fractured memory may be what later civilizations inherited. A recollection of a time before humanity was remade, or perhaps before the Earth itself was fully prepared for human life. Some have speculated this was not merely a mythic flood, but the echo of something larger. The terraforming of the planet, the reshaping of the Earth by forces beyond human comprehension. The further back we look, the stranger it becomes. Our written records vanish past the 4th millennium BC. Before Sumer, history dissolves into prehistory, and yet scattered clues remain. Megalithic sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, older than Sumer by millennia, show advanced astronomical alignments and architecture long before the so-called First Civilization. The Sumerian king list describes reigns of tens of thousands of years before the flood. Geological evidence hints at sudden shifts around 10,000 BC, when ice sheets melted and global seas surged. Something happened. Something that broke the line of human memory.
The source to this video has been heavily debated on the internet. In the video, a man shows off his campsite in Deschutes, Oregon, when later that night things go horribly wrong. Some believe the video could have been recorded by Jacob Edris. Jacob disappeared in 2017 and was last seen in Eugene, Oregon, after frantically calling his boss claiming he was being chased by someone. Others believe that the footage was shot by Chase Hove, who also went missing in 2017. Chase disappeared in the same area where this video was recorded.
Alright, well, it may seem like a bit much, but here I am solo camping. Deschutes, Oregon. Well, close to Bend, Oregon. I brought the 8-person tent, or the 6-person tent. I haven't pulled this thing out in a long time, so I thought first of the season I should pull that out, give it a go. It's about that time. Sun is setting. It's about 8 o'clock. Should be dark out here in less than an hour. You get a little bit over through the trees. Beautiful night. Definitely gonna be turning early though. I've been woken up by noises. Yeah, you can hear it. Something from that side. Sun's right outside the tent. There's something right outside the tent. That can't be. That gets us. Someone's messing around with the rocks out there. Jesus. Leave me alone. Flashlight. I can't see God thing outside this night vision. Jesus Christ. I don't know where it chased me off. I'm wandering the God of darkness. Flashlights.
Yo.
Chris from the YouTube channel Urbex Hill is exploring the abandoned Westinghouse factory in Cleveland, Ohio. About 20 minutes into his exploration, he captures something that scares the life out of him.
Yo. You need some help, bro? Yo. He's not even responding. I'm gonna leave him alone. Get out of his way. Damn, bro, that's crazy. What the hell? That is crazy as hell. That's weird, man. That dude is down there in the dark by himself. I mean, even I wouldn't have the balls to do that. Especially with all this water damage. I don't even know how you can survive down here. There's a lot of bats down here, too. Damn.
What Chris didn't notice at the time was that same person was now watching him from in the darkness.
Okay, here we go, guys. It's in hot water. 10 years old. Okay, let's see if I get sick.
Two explorers ventured into an abandoned high school in Japan when they get the fright of their life. Tristan